Good morning, world. This is Alicia Marie Balshak, Life Mastery Consultant, freelance writer, journalist, and your guide as we are walking through Standing Firm When Your World is Shaking, which is normally a 4-week program that I deliver to people who have gone through tragedy or tough things in their life in order to get them back on track and dreaming and scheming and coming up with life-giving results again in their life, in their career, in their relationships, in their wealth and vocation, and the way they're using their time, money, and talent. But today I am coming to you live, as I have been doing for several weeks now, Tuesdays around 10 a.m. Eastern Time, to share with you on a weekly basis live interactions and conversations around the idea of how do we navigate the tough terrain that we find ourselves in with a world that has been turned upside down with COVID-19 and all of the economic fallout that is happening because of this. And I am also coming to you live every week for as long as necessary, not just for a 4-week program, because we are navigating uncertain times and the tough terrains in our own life. Now, I am hiding behind my camera for a minute because I've got some special things set up for you today. And I just want to remind you that this is a sharing time. This is a time when you should be sharing this. Share this with your friends, family right now. And I am going to do the same thing. Let me actually poke my head out here so you can see I'm a real live person. Here I am hiding. I'm a little bit getting organized still today. We had a wonderful holiday weekend for ourselves over Easter, and I hope whatever holiday you celebrated, whether it was Passover or Ramadan that's coming up here, or Easter with me, that you had a wonderful time, no matter how far away your friends and family are, connecting with them. But I am real. I'm a real person. I'm just hiding behind my screen a little bit here today because I have something special for you. But I want to encourage you right now. You're here. Please go share this. Share this with someone else. The trick is to just tell them to come here. This is my shortcut to this Facebook page so that anyone can be a part of this conversation. And I actually have created something new so that you can, or anyone can be a part of this on an ongoing basis. And, as we're getting organized, getting our act together, we can actually create a way for us to get some reminders. So I have to find that, but I created a kind of a reminder registration page. So these are free conversations. I'm just doing this because this is what I do to help people, and because I have some experience, some real life experience, some expertise, and some certifications in the deep psychology of human nature, the hearts, of humankind, the spirit that breathes and lives through us all. So go ahead and share this, and I will also encourage you to get reminders at this website. It's a little awkward right now. I'll get a better one, but it's in the comment or in the description for this video. So be sure to do that, and then we will send out weekly reminders, and you can know what's going on. So welcome. Share this with your family. Share this with the world. I'm going to do the same thing right now myself, so that we live in integrity. We say what we're going to do, and we're going to do what we say. And I walk the walk. That's something very important. I want you to know that as a life mastery consultant, as someone who is applying very specific tools to walk through and navigate uncertain times and tough terrains in life, I actually have tools and tips and techniques and things that I can offer you, and I use them in my life. So it's not something I'm just talking about. This is stuff that I'm actually doing. I'm walking the walk, talking the talk. It's becoming who you want to be in times of crisis, becoming who you want to be in normal times, should we ever return to those. Because here's what I think: anything that comes out of this is going to be different. It'll be our new normal, and hopefully, in my ambition, my dream, my vision is that it'll be an evolved and more kind, caring, and compassionate world that we're going to birth out of this experience. And that only happens because you are who you are and I am who I am. And it is by choices, by decisions, and by the actions that we take that matters, that happens. So again, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Take a moment, and let's do this. Let's start a watch party if you're watching on Facebook, or share it. At least share it and get everybody online. So let's check in. Let's take a deep breath here as we do this. How have you been? Take another breath. We're centering ourselves. We're catching our nervous system. We're realigning into the sympathetic nervous system and getting out of the parasympathetic nervous, or vice versa. I'm sorry. We're getting into rest and digest and moving out of flight and fear. In through the nose and out. Now, how are you? How are you today? If you're tuning in live, or if you're on replay, let me know you're on replay and put it in the comments, because I'm actually able to interact on Facebook here on my page. I'm able to interact with you, and I would love to have you tell me just exactly what's going on. How are you on a scale of 1 to 10? 1 being really, really not good, and 10 being, yeah, I'm awesome, I'm handling things. Where are you in the scheme of things right now? Just let's do a little check-in here. Take a breath as we do this. I'm a little stuffy, but I'm really grateful that I'm able to breathe, because we know that COVID-19 is an illness that creates hardship for people when they're breathing, right? So go ahead and put in there on a scale of 1 to 10 in the comments. I'm able to actually pull up the comments on the page and bring it up here onto the screen so we can have a two-way conversation. How are you doing? How are you feeling? Are you just not coping very well, or are you coping really, really well? Is there some fear? Is there some anxiety? What's frustrating you? We've talked a couple weeks ago about how to handle fear and frustration and transform it with forgiveness and fun. Make sure you go back and look at that video if you haven't already been following us. But go ahead in the comments. Let me know. And if you're watching on replay, that's okay too. Watch on replay. No matter when you receive this information, this message, this inspiration, I pray and hope, my intention is that it goes to those who need it most, exactly at the time that they need it, that you need it. And it's exactly what you need to hear right now. There's no coincidence. that we have connected in this moment, whether it's live or on the replay. So please let me know where you are coming from, where you're at, how you're doing on a scale of 1 to 10, just doing a check-in. And remember to also, let's give ourselves a moment, a beat, and breathe. We're breathing. And let's set our energy. Let's tune in, turn up the volume, have some transformational willingness. Let's tune in specifically with gratitude. What are you grateful for today? I see you watching. I'm so grateful that you're here. I am using a platform that lets me share comments, so I can't see who's talking or who's here, but I can see when you talk, as in post a comment. So thank you for being here. I'm grateful for a gift of life. I'm grateful for sun here in Michigan today. I am grateful that we had a wonderful Easter holiday here over the weekend with online services, multi-faith services, as well as my own traditional of in the Catholic tradition. I have done them all. It was a lot of fun. And I made a fancy meal and enjoyed it. Enjoyed the process of cooking, which normally I am too busy to enjoy, but I got to slow down and enjoy the process of cooking a very nice meal for my family for Easter. So what did you do? What are you grateful for? Let's tune in to the energy of gratitude. And I'm so happy, so grateful that you're here joining me every Tuesday around 10 a.m., give or take, depending on what's going on in the family and with technology. But we are here to stand firm while our world is shaking. So just as a reminder there, okay? And I am going to share this because I still was doing that when I got all excited and interrupted. So while that's happening, I want to tell you that wherever you're at, whatever is going on, you are exactly in the right place. I know that's hard to imagine, especially when there is difficulty or challenge or uncertainty, when you're facing fear, when you're facing things that are just completely different than what you've expected. It can be very confronting. It can feel like you don't have control. And the truth is, you don't have control over everything. And that can be very challenging to our human side, to think that we don't have control over everything in our life. And the process of learning to surrender to that and control what we can control is so very powerful. And I shared with you a little bit last week about how I spent a whole month in February, just letting go. Just letting go. Just relaxing into more and more into a deeper way what the moment was calling for, what my life was calling for, give myself some breathing rooms for some brainstorming, some brain space, a lot of quiet, a lot of contemplative time, a lot of sleeping, to be honest, because we wear ourselves out pushing so hard that we don't have enough energy to actually serve the dreams, serve the daily responsibilities, and serve the life that is seeking to express itself through us. That can happen. We are on week 4 here of standing firm when the world is shaking conversations. And we are almost exactly, yesterday was exactly 1 month to the day that my world here in Michigan kind of began its trend into lockdown, right? March 13th was the first day that schools were canceled. March 10th was the first case of confirmed COVID-19 in Michigan, and March 13th, the schools were canceled. So we are exactly at that 1 month mark. And it can feel really grueling, draining, just exhausting, having been here for so long, right? It can feel that way after being part of this. So where are you at after a month? We probably have another month to go. At least Michigan has an order until April 30th. So wherever you're at in the world, whatever's going on, take stock for a minute. Let's take a breath here. Where have you been on this journey with the COVID-19, which could be seen as a collective dark night of the soul? We're being put into a place of deep, contemplative, reflective, confronting even times. And that is for the purpose of growth and transformation if we allow it to happen. So where are you at in the process? Where are you at? Take stock. How many weeks have you been in lockdown? How many days? What's being forecast in your area? There are over 25,000 cases in Michigan. In fact, I have this cool ability to show you live what is going on. And we're not doing this for the purpose of frightening ourselves out of action or frightening ourselves into panic. We're doing this for the purpose of having insights and insightful information. So let me help you with that a little bit here, just for some, again, taking stock. Where are you at in your own journey here with what's going on in this world? And we're doing this together. So in Michigan, we have a website we can go to on a daily basis. And I'm just going to make it big enough so you can see what the heck we do. We can go here and we can actually find some help and whatnot. But what I do is I check in over here, where we stand with COVID-19, just in my own state of Michigan. So there we are, updated yesterday. Total confirmed cases is over 25,000, with total deaths approaching over 1,600. And just yesterday, the numbers were updated with 1,000 new cases and 115 deaths. These are families that are sad and suffering. And my heart goes out to every last one of them, every last one of us who is affected by this world that is changing in an instant, in a blink. We go from healthy to unhealthy. We go from messy to just stressed the complete heck out. This is the world that we're living in now. And whether it stays this way or changes, it's totally 100% up to us. This is my county right here. So Detroit is being hit very, very, very hard. And this is my county right here, where we have at least 311 cases. Testing is terrible, so we don't really know, but 13 people have lost their lives. And my sister works at the local hospital here, so it's quite interesting to hear the stories that she shares about what it's like to check into work and whatnot. And my husband is now considered an essential worker, working at an Amazon warehouse that he just took the week that this all happened. So we're all serving our points. And with that said, I actually have a couple of special videos that I want to share with you. And let me start with the first one is one that I created. So let me second. I'm going to put you on mute for 1 second while I get it booted up. Well, before I do that, I want to just say this is a fun little side project that I've been doing. And whatever your special project is that you're doing, I encourage you to take some creative time and figure out what you will be doing with this time of reflection, with this time of intuition. We have a lot of opportunity because we're standing firm when our world is shaking. So again, if you are just tuning in, I am getting myself a little organized, sharing some special things with you. My update archives, easiest place to go see them will be here. And that's actually where I'm going to go share this message. I have a special video that I created, and it was a lot of fun to create it. And I'm going to just kind of skip around with it because you don't need to see the whole thing. You can go watch the whole thing later. Okay, sound good? But this is my special message for why we are all heroes, and you don't have to just suffer and struggle. We can actually use this time to change our perception of who we are and who we are becoming. Okay, so let me just share so that you can see. Okay, thank you for tuning in, and here's something special for you. I'm going to skip right to the special message at the end. But you can see that I have a lot of fun stuff. So there you go. That's my special message for you. Thank you for watching. Only you can prevent coronavirus, right? Only you can do it. And we are all heroes. We're all firefighters in this. So I've got the full long 12-minute video with some teaching in the middle and the special message. It's available there at my YouTube channel, which you can find by going to bit.ly Life Mastery TV. And if you have ideas, suggestions, and comments, please put them down there, share them, and let me know, because I want to do more videos that will be helping and supporting you. So I have a teaching today around pivoting, or rather around this idea of pivot in times of crisis. We've talked a little bit about fear and navigating fear and frustration. We've talked about how we are kind of going through a collective dark night of the soul, and there's this need for this deep, radical acceptance of whatever we're going through, and that we're not able to control everything. And I want to talk about now, I feel like, we've been in this, in my world, at least in the trenches, for 4 weeks. Some places of the world have been obviously a lot longer. So again, I ask you to take stock of where you're at in the process. And it feels to me like it's time to talk about a little more of moving forward, right? We're not just stuck in this. This isn't just happening to us. It's our chance to actually leverage it into something. And I came across a really phenomenal video, I think, that will bridge us from this, talking about where we're at right now and into this conversation that I would like to have with you. And again, I encourage you to share this video, comment live. If you're commenting on my main Facebook page right here, I'll be able to see it live, and I'll be able to actually pull up comments and share on the screen, so you can be a movie star with me. So I have another special video that I want to share that will help transition us through this. So let me pull that up, and And know that wherever you're at, again, I have a registration page. It's in the comment or the description. So make sure you sign up to get reminded that this is happening, that you can come and be a part of this live. And I'm ready to share with you a special message that Prince AE put together that I think is very timely. Well done, of course, he always does wonderful things, and inspirational. That'll help us take this into this idea of how do we pivot, how do we make that switch while we're standing firm, while we're navigating uncertain times and tough terrain. What do we do? So enjoy this special presentation, and I'll be back with you after this. Let me share the right screen. My special presentation. I'm trying all sorts of new fancy things today.
Are you scared yet? They say this thing, it kills your immune system, attacks your lungs, makes it hard to breathe, and it's spreading like wildfire, causing havoc. Your friends and family are gonna get it, if they don't already have it. It's tragic, I tell you, madness. Scientists say old people get it worse, but most get it eventually. They say this is new, but no. This has been around for centuries. Look at history, it's just a different name, a different strain. And now there's no way to contain it. It infects the rich, poor, young, old, the unknown, the famous. It's dangerous. Everyone's on edge, locked inside of their homes nervously. Borders are closed, countries declare state of emergencies. Grocery stores are empty, nobody's praying in church. The world has gone to crap. No wonder toilet paper sold out first. The stock market crashed, thousands laid off work. Hand sanitizer is going for $1 million a squirt. You better not sneeze, cause no one's gonna say God bless you. They might even arrest you. I don't mean to stress you, but washing your hands obsessively in the restroom will not protect you. Friends, I'm not talking about coronavirus. Now this is a virus even more deadly. The F virus. You've seen it. It spreads every minute like an epidemic. It lives on surfaces, most commonly remote controls, TV screens, cellular phones. It makes you desperate. Doctors say every time you scroll down your feed, you get reinfected. It invades the brain, and when it mutates, it turns into hatred and blame. China did it, no Italy did, no Iran, no Spain. Oh, I didn't make it clear? The F virus, ladies and gentlemen, is fear. But don't be afraid. Despite what you hear or see on your TV, there is good news during this tragedy. To fight loneliness, people are performing concerts on their balconies. The UAE sent aid to Iran. Japan donated supplies to China for free. Written on them was a poem that said, "We are waves from the same sea." Listen to me, like every tragedy, we can let this destroy us, or we can use it to our benefit and repair relationships with our sisters and brothers, wipe away silly grudges, because when it's all said and done, all we ever really had in this world was each other. So yes, let's flatten the curve and expand our hearts. Let's social distance, boost our immune systems, be mindful of where we put our hands, but also where we put our attention. Be alert, not fearful, because the F virus is a pandemic easily transmitted. If you do contract it or exhibit symptoms, we recommend immediately dialing the hotline of a level-headed friend. If you are exposed through your TV, change the dang station. Decontaminate yourself through dance, laughter, and meditation. 2020 has been morbid. From Kobe to COVID, may we use these tragic moments to finally wake up to what's important. Right now, tell someone that you care for them. Yes, right now, tell them that you cherish them. If they are not in the same room, ring them up and tell them you will always be there for them. Because together is how we will rise above. The only vaccine for this F virus and every other virus is love.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, what do you think of that? Okay. Sorry, I gotta find my screen here. All right. I like olive oil too, but what do you think of that? That message from Prince AE. All we need to transform is love. Love being the virus or the antidote, the vaccine for fear. I loved that message. I love his work, and so just want to give him a shout out and say thank you for being you. Who are you in these video days and these times? So welcome and thank you for being here. I am so happy and grateful to be able to be your guide during what can be very stressful times, right? We can acknowledge that. We've got a lot on our plates. There's a lot of facts and figures and information out there. There's reality on the ground with children, with work, or the lack of work, with bills, with relationships, as we're all interacting and bumping into each other in new ways, in longer, extended ways. Again, it's been a month for us. What has it been for you? Please put a comment in so I can share and we can have a two-way conversation. Where are you on a scale of 1 to 10? Where are you like 1 being I am not doing well, 10 I'm doing really great and coping really well. Somewhere in the middle is all okay. It's all good. And where are you tuning in from in the world? How many weeks have you been dealing with the coronavirus in your part of the world? I would love to know who's watching and who's listening. So let's talk about, excuse me, this idea of pivot. Let's talk about this idea of transforming our reality, because we do have a reality that we're dealing with. But let's talk about how we deal with it. We're a month in now, and I feel like that is the conversation that is necessary. It's not just about navigating fear, although we may have some, or worry or doubt. It's much, much bigger than that. What are we doing now? What are we doing now and for the foreseeable future to make ourselves better, to make the world better, to transform what's going on? So I see this as a point in time where it's necessary to pivot. The conversation needs to pivot. We've identified this idea that we're going through a dark night of the soul. Every hero goes through something. It is the call. I keep being reminded of Frozen 2 and, the into the unknown. We're being called. We're being called into the unknown. And that is the dark night of the soul, this moment with this hesitation. Will we go? Will we not go? Is that call for me or is it really for someone else? Everyone I've ever known, everyone I've ever loved, Elsa says in her song, is right here in these 4 walls. And here we are in our 4 walls with everyone we've ever loved in our immediate families. And yet there is something calling us, calling you. Each and every one of us has life coursing through our veins, seeking to express itself in some unique way that is only yours to bring into this world. So the question is, will you answer the call? Will you answer the call that is being set up for us all through the collective dark night of the soul that is called COVID-19? You can say no. You can hunker down and be fearful. You can let the F virus get you. But the only virus that has ever killed any dreams is fear. I actually posted about that on my Facebook page a while back. Let me see if I can find it. The only virus that has ever killed dreams. Let me just write that. I can create a banner. So where are you in your dreaming? Do you have a dream? Are you ready to answer the call and go into the unknown? There will be fear. There will be uncertainty. There will be kids in the background. That's okay. Where are you at in your hero's journey? Every hero has to answer the call. And as I said in my little introduction about my special video that I was having fun making, every one of us is a hero right now in the COVID-19 situation. Every one of us is a hero in our own life anyway. How do you answer the call to be the hero of your journey? That is essentially what standing firm when your world is shaking is really all about, because things will change. Change is inevitable. But are you able to be the hero that goes through and faces the fear anyway? Because on the other side, there's something waiting that is greater. There's something waiting that only you can achieve, that only you can create. And that's what I believe. There is something greater on the other side of this. There's a lot of opportunity right now. And there is, what's the word I'm looking for? This is a unique time we're living in. Well, I'll post it later because I'm not finding my video, my thing. But let's talk about how to pivot. Let's talk about how to change where we're at coming from, especially as a month or more in. Where are we going with our thinking? Where are we going with our actions? What are we doing to make a difference? Okay. So with that, let's dive in. We are going to be talking about how to pivot in times of crisis. This is true of any time. Okay? This is true of any time. Oh, if I can type, I'd be even better off, right? This is what I get for doing it live and on the spot, right? How do we pivot? How do you pivot? So let's start by asking ourselves some important questions. When you are confronted with change, especially massive amounts of change and uncertainty, what do you do? How do you normally react? And again, this is a live two-way conversation. If you've got pen and paper, this is a great time to be doing some journaling, because I am guiding you through the conversation, guiding you through the thinking, guiding you through this process of standing firm when your world is shaking. So put a comment in on the Facebook page, because that's where I can see it, and I will share it on the screen and we will be interactive together. But how do you normally pivot? How do you normally deal with it? Maybe you don't pivot. Maybe you just go into fear and hunker down and you let the F virus get you. Or maybe you're paralyzed by it and you don't want to take action. Maybe you go into full fight and flight. So you go into adrenaline-based action. I lived my life for a long time. 10, 15 years in adrenaline-based action. Go. Act. Solve the problem by doing more, being more, achieving more. Let's go. And not all problems can be solved that way, it turns out. I had to learn that the hard way over and over again. I still have problems that I'm digging out of that are not always solved by just brute force action. The cycle I had in my life I called it personally, push and procrastinate. So you do, and then you do all over yourself, and you get worn out. You get tired. You get really, really, really exhausted. So I'm going to just put that on there. When you're in that tired, exhausted frame, you are not able to do anything and you just crash. And that's the procrastination part. That's the procrastinate part, where you've done so much so quickly that you just kind of stop functioning. And I would go through a few days of that, sometimes more. And eventually I got to a place where my brain no longer functioned. In 2016, I lost my job, largely because I had gone through and forced myself through this push and procrastinate cycle for so long. Like, I didn't even know any different. It was just my normal way of reacting to times of stress and pressure. And there was a lot of stress and pressure and chaos in my life at that time. And it seemed like a recurring cycle of that, where you could barely recover from one thing. Barely. Like maybe we solved the problem and we had a week, and then it seemed like another problem showed up. And not small problems always. They were relationship problems. They were cars just completely dying when you didn't have money to replace them. There was house repairs. There were, medical expenses. There were things that happened in my life that I'm happy to share over time that just made it really, really difficult to keep moving ahead with consistency, with calm, and with clarity. It seemed like it was always one shoe would fall and we would start to get better, and then 5 more would fall. So we would push. I would push. That was my reaction. So I'm asking you, what is your reaction to stress, to times of frustration, to times of uncertainty, to navigating the tough terrain of your life? It's important to know what your natural reaction is, because we're going to get into this acronym that I've made out of pivot, and you'll see why. It's important to know where our baseline is, what our normal way of being is, so that we can know where we want to change and what is working and what is not working. And for me, push and procrastinate was not working. I was exhausted all the time. And I'm not talking about the kind of exhaustion that sleep, 10, 12, 14 hours of sleep, even a weekend or days on end of that kind of sleep would solve. The bone tired, soul exhausted, life draining, constant vampire sucking energy that you just don't have anymore. Maybe you've experienced that in your own life. There was grief in there. There was anger. There was bitterness. There was resentment. There were things taking away my energy underneath the surface while I was dealing with the physical problems, the facts of life. The losing the job for the 3rd time from my husband, or getting fired from a job myself. Wondering, how do I find health insurance? I know that's on our mind for many, many people right now. How do I find the next paycheck? How do I keep this job? How do I work with people that I don't know if I really like them? I don't share the same values with them. They seem to be living in another world than I'm living in, than I'm experiencing. And so you put on the mask and you pretend to be something that you're not. And you work hard. And there's another energy suck, right? How much energy you put into being something you're not in order to fit in and try to be successful, to thrive, to have the level of interaction, success, connection that you think you want. And the truth is, it may or may not be what you really want. But we do it because we're told from all these places on the outside, right? Get a job, do the thing, have a better car, get a better house. Why haven't you had kids yet? How come you're not married? Whatever. So push, energy, just pushing, trying to move the problem around, trying to find the solution, do more action. Because that's what my normal mode was when I was dealing with times of stress and uncertainty. I would just fly into action. I'd have a plan, there'd be some strategy, but it wasn't the kind of plan that was guaranteed to, be life-giving. It was me pouring myself out in the hopes that something would shift. And then I would crash because I could hold that for sometimes a couple months, sometimes only a couple weeks. But eventually the procrastination would sit in. And that was when I was tired. And that was when I was exhausted. And that was when I just couldn't lift another muscle to try to do another thing because it all seemed so hopeless. So entirely out of my control. No matter what I did, wouldn't make a difference. So what if I look for another job? What keyword would I even search for? So what? So what if my husband lost his job again and we don't have money? There was one time when we went 2 months with neither of us working. 2 months. No unemployment because we were contesting that. 2 months with no income. And I know that that is exactly the situation people are facing right now. And it's like, oh, holy crap, what do I do? And yet I am in a position now to tell you it's okay. Stay calm. We lived through our 2 months with no income, and you will live through the next couple of months, including the month we just went through, right? You're going to be okay. It may not look the way you want it to look, and it may not be comfortable. It may not even be easy. I will not pretend that it is easy. It can be really, really hard. But we talked about trust last week. And I encourage you to go back and look at that lesson. And what does trust stand for? Tell yourself the truth. Push and procrastinate doesn't work, ladies and gentlemen. The crashing after the putting in so much energy. And I still remember the year, it was several years ago now, but the year that I spent 3 days at Christmas on the couch crying. I couldn't move. I couldn't get myself to bed. I couldn't get myself to have a meal. Luckily, I have a very loving family and a husband who took care of me and helped the kids kind of sort of understand what's going on and get them away from me. I couldn't do it. I don't even remember watching TV. I just remember laying on the couch and either crying or sleeping and a little bit of interacting for 3 whole days. And then I finally got up the gumption, the courage, the push to get myself off the couch and go do something because something had to be done. And I went a few blocks away. And in backing out from having done this little errand, I bumped into another car. Just my rear end just kind of bumped into another car. I was very courteous. I left a note, but I was devastated. Just that little thing. I just was like a bawling mess of tears on the street. There was nobody around. I just bumped into a parked car. And I went, and all of the thoughts in my head just went through in that moment. You know, remembering that it was supposed to be a holiday and it was supposed to be a fun time. And I was supposed to have like these good feelings. And it just was like almost insidious that I didn't even feel that way. And so I was just like, well, see, you shouldn't have even left the couch. You shouldn't have even gotten up. Every time you get up and go out in the world, something bad happens. Why did I get up? Should not have left the couch. Should have stayed there. Hunker down, cry. And that's what I did. I went back. I went back to my couch and I cried. And I felt so miserable. And we didn't even have, on the level of fact, what's happening in the world today. Right? This was probably, well, I don't even remember what year it is. I just remember the moment so vividly. But Marie was little, so it was probably 10 years ago. So I'm here to tell you that you are stronger than your circumstances and that the push and procrastinate model does not work. So that's why we're going to talk about a different P today, the pivot model. Okay? But I want us to go back to this idea that you are totally stronger than your circumstances. Whatever it is that you've been facing for right now, you are. I got through my 3 or 4 days and all the things around push and procrastinate. And what I didn't know then, that I know now, is that the content of our life is the curriculum for our evolution. It took me running into a wonderful woman named Mary Morrissey, who became my mentor and my direct teacher. And she ended up certifying me as a life coach in the science and art of transformation. There is a science to it and there's an art to it. And I didn't know that when I was crying on the couch for 3 days or wondering where I was going to get the next big opportunity and why my talents, gifts, and skills were not being valued in the world. I didn't know that the content of my life is the curriculum for my evolution. I didn't have that concept. I kind of had a vague sense that there was a purpose, that I had a purpose, that I needed to be doing more. But again, see, that's, you gotta be careful. That push and procrastinate, that adrenaline-filled way of going through the world where you're doing and taking action, which we're going to talk about, taking action being very important. But let's remind ourselves that let's do it from a place that's life-giving. Let's do it from a place that comes from inspiration, that comes from connection, that comes from a place where it actually creates ease and flow. We don't want to be doing it from a place where we're doing it because it's the only thing we know how to do to cope with the stress. Doing more is not always the answer and not always the right answer. So, oh, wonderful. We've got some people who have commented, and I just wanted to remind people that you are interacting live with me here. So, hi, welcome to, we're doing this conversation every week around 10 a.m. on Eastern Standard. I guess we're in daylight time now, Eastern Daylight Time. So hi, welcome, and know that you are a part of whatever this wonderful thing we're creating together really is. So if you're on my Facebook page, please put a comment down. Where are you at in the world? And where are you at in terms of dealing with whatever lockdowns going on or whatever's going on in your world with the COVID-19? I really would love to know. We're having a conversation today about that. So how long has it been going on? How long have you been dealing with this? And how are you personally dealing with this on a scale of 1 to 10? It's really helpful to know. 1 being, I'm really not dealing with it. I am on the couch, scratched out for 3 days, right? Like that kind of level. Or 10, I'm doing great. I'm navigating through my world. I'm taking steps. I'm doing what I can with what I have, that sort of thing. And those are all tools we can talk about. So thank you for being here. So what can we do? What can we do to be more in tune and not using a push and procrastinate model, as I called it, where you're putting in all your energy and not getting enough return and just draining yourself until you're exhausted and then you can't even function. Sorry about that. That's my 11 o'clock alarm. So if you've been here for that long with me, I appreciate it. We're going to finish this conversation because I think it's so important. And be sure to go and watch the replay because at the beginning, I shared some really cool videos that were a little bit of inspiration. And if you missed any of the past ones, see them on my Facebook page, but also see this archive here on YouTube at bit.ly Life Mastery TV. So let's go into this. Last week we talked about trust. I'm going to do a brief recap here. Why it's important to trust is that it helps set us up so that we can pivot, so we can make a difference. Okay, so how do we do that? Trust, I use the acronym of trust to teach this idea that we first have to tell yourself the truth. And the truth is, you are stronger than the circumstances that are happening right now. I was stronger than the circumstances that led me to be on the couch for 3 or 4 days. And eventually I got off the couch and I did something. And the mental model said that bad things happen when I do that. But I got up again and again, and eventually I learned to navigate a new way. And how did I do that? I learned by releasing the resistance. Release the things we can't control. Release the places in us that have friction, that have the places that just create stress unnecessarily. And we put ourselves at the middle. Know that you are at the center of your own experience. So where the point of power is inside you. You get to decide how you're going to act, how you're going to think, and what it is that's going to happen as a result of living through these very unprecedented historic times. I believe there's something great waiting on the other side, and it's up to us to design it, create it, live into it, become it. It's not just about the fear and the frustration and the sadness and suffering that's happening. There's something more happening here. So that's the part of trusting, leaning into that you're at the center of your own experience, and there are unseen universal forces at work supporting us. Because it turns out, whether you think you live in a friendly universe or in a faux-filled universe is entirely up to you. That thought that went through my head after I got up and then finally got off the couch and finally did something, and then I crashed into a car anyway. And I was like, oh, see, you should never leave the couch because something bad happens every time you do. Well, that was a lie. Not every time, but just that time. But I was in such a place, such a hole, such a negative space. Depression, despair. When we are hopeless, thoughts like that can eat us up and drain us of our energy. So you're more than that. I'm more than that. And I had to rely on unseen forces and decide for myself that it wasn't a scary universe that I lived in, that bad things didn't happen every time I walked out the door, that things were actually there to help me, to support me, to foster my growth. Growth does not have to be comfortable. In fact, it doesn't happen when we're comfortable. And I would dare say almost all of us feel a little uncomfortable, if not a lot uncomfortable right now. Yes? And then we learn to trust by listening to that deep, quiet, inner part of us, that place of inspired insight, the intuition, the still small voice of spirit speaking. When we listen there, which is why push and procrastinate doesn't always work, right? We can't just do on our own. We have to be connected to a source that is higher and more life-giving than our own physical, constrained human self. And if you imagine, we have an infinite self, an infinite connection, and we have our human self. We are much more than our physical form. And there's just a principle in the universe called energy, right? So let's at least accept that we are part of this. And when we listen to the source of divine insight, when we listen to the small, still voice, we will be given action items and intuitive thought that will take us in a direction that is life-giving, and we don't have to push and we don't have to work so hard at it. It can actually get easier. That's part of learning to trust. And then the last part of trust was the T, where we take the action that we were given. That's only yours. Excuse me. There is action that is only yours to take right now in this moment. I don't know what it is for you, but it's there. And it will not go away. That step is yours and yours alone to take. So that's what we talked about a little bit last week. If you want a deeper version of that, go and look at that. So let's talk about pivot. How to pivot in times of crisis. And again, thank you for being here. Thank you for those of you who are live tuning in. I love sharing conversation. So please put on in the Facebook page a comment, and I'll be able to share it on the screen if it fits into the conversation, especially. How are you doing? What's going on right now in your world? What do you need help with? And how are you going to use what you're learning here today as a way to grow? I would love to know. So let's talk about how to pivot. Thank you for being a part of all this. We are far enough along, and the models are projecting that this will continue long enough that we need to know how we're going to act going forward. It is no longer enough to just breathe and calm ourselves down, although I highly, highly recommend still doing that anytime, because we're going to run into places where we run into resistance, where we run into fear, and we're going to need that. So while we're doing this, let's take a breath right now. I'm a little stuffy, so I apologize about that. But we breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. One more time. This is how we get into our center stream at a minimum, because we've just caught the attention of your nervous system, and we are, by breathing in that particular fashion, we are shifting from the parasympathetic or the sympathetic into the parasympathetic, into the place where we go from fight and flight and freeze into rest and digest, where we can be creative, where we can be problem solvers. And that is important to know. And why I've been asking you all along is because we want to know where we're at with things and how we're dealing with things, what our normal way of responding to things is, because this illustrates to us what our paradigm is. And that is our worldview and how we are acting, interacting, and reacting by default. If we do nothing about it, this is where we're coming from. All of our past experiences, all of the things that we've experienced, that we've thought, that's led to us being who we are right now in this moment, come from our worldview that I call, in my teachings, paradigm. So pivot starts with P, and we're talking about how to pivot in times of crisis, because we're going to start looking at our paradigm. What is it that we normally do? How are we normally, typically reacting up until now? And start to realize that that is just a perception. That's just a particular worldview. And we have the ability, through our mental faculty of perception, to begin to shift how we look at things. And I think this is really, really important if we're talking about pivoting from one way of acting and reacting, of dealing with the problem in a way that's okay, we're hunkered down, we're going to deal with stress, we're going to navigate the new schedule with the kids home and not having work or whatever. That's one way, but it doesn't move us ahead, does it? It just kind of keeps us in reaction mode. And we really want to move from react into create. And we do that by identifying the paradigm that's at work. What are the beliefs? Are they limiting us, or are they life-giving? What is the perception? Is this bad or is this good? Or is it neutral? And I have the ability to make it into that, anything that I want. Know where you're coming from. And sometimes we can't always see the paradigm. We're just kind of in it. I have a mentor who likes to say, the frame of reference, like a picture frame. Oh, we have this little box here. Oh, right? You see me in a frame anyway on your screen. And you can't see what's beyond the frame. I'm in the frame and I can't see everything that's in the frame with me. It takes somebody from the outside sometimes to be able to say, look, if you just widen your perspective, there is more going on here. You know, there might be some fancy artwork over here, or there might be some, mess. Maybe there's a mess behind me. I don't know. We don't know. So sometimes it takes someone on the outside to be able to say, this is what I hear and see. And you're going through this pattern. In my world, it was push and procrastinate, push and procrastinate. And eventually I got sick of crashing and burning. And I did eventually get to the point where as I was starting to say earlier, lost my job because my brain stopped working. I actually had burnout. And for 6 weeks, it was as if I was walking through pea soup. I don't know if you eat pea soup, but it gets really, really thick. And so everything was thick and I was in slow motion. And I had to ask people to slow down and repeat themselves. So the paradigm, the pattern of the past wasn't going to work anymore for me. The go, 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 do, be on fire, action-oriented person that I wasn't going to work for me anymore. My brain wasn't working. I had to shift. I had to shift my perception about a lot of things. And it took 3 full years for that to happen. Now, I'm not going to suggest that it needs to take that long for dealing with the COVID-19 in terms of our own personal reactions. It may take up to 18 months before we get a vaccine. And the world will be, sort of back to normal at that point. But in the meantime, there's so much more that we can do. And it begins with identifying where we're at now and how we normally react and interact by default. What is your paradigm? What are your limiting beliefs telling you? Are they telling you it's not a friendly universe and that you'll never get ahead and that this is here to ruin you? I don't know. If you want to share in the comments, what's going through your head? I shared with you what went through my head. But something is happening. Something is seeking to express itself. And it's up to us to shift our perception. We have this fabulous mental faculty. We talk about our five, senses, but we forget or don't talk about at all that we have six mental faculties that go along with navigating the invisible world as much as the tangible world. So let's shift our paradigm, let's shift our perception, and there are specific tools to do that. But at least begin by having the awareness that you have a paradigm. You have a way of looking at things. You have a way of reacting to things, including what's going on in the world with your life particularly, and with COVID-19. So what are you going to do? You're going to have to shift your paradigm and shift your perception and develop a new way of looking at things. That's the first thing to do if you really want to pivot in times of crisis and any other time. The second thing we want to do is we really want to take stock. So I'm going to call this inventory. We want to take inventory or gather information, right? And we want to do it from a place that is inspired. So we want to we want to take inventory of the information that's available to us, and we want to look for inspiration. Where are you finding inspiration in your life right now? Where are you getting information from in your life right now? Really should put information in that. I like alliteration an awful lot. Can you tell? Let's even change it to say inspired ideas. Take inventory. What's going on right now? How are you? Where are you getting your information from? Are you getting it from credible sources, or are we just listening to anyone who wants to be in front of a microphone and speak? As I showed you earlier, I went to the website that's actually tracking the numbers. I'm not going to just listen to any media source. Now, that does take a little effort on my part, but it's not much. We live in an internet age. We live in an age connected to the internet. And here's an interesting thing. You have an infinite that you are connected to. You are connected to the infinite through your infinite nature, through your connection to source and spirit. So you actually have access to ideas that are beyond your realm of personal knowledge. They may not even make sense to you. And that's this place of intuition, this place of inspired ideas. And let's just add that, because I want you to listen to your intuition. So just like we have perception as a mental faculty, we have another mental faculty called intuition. This is that part of us, that still small voice that talks when we are going out on a sunny day and it says, take the umbrella. Oh no, it's not going to rain. And then it rains. And we go, oh, I knew I should have taken the umbrella. Or the part of you that's connected and you're thinking about your friend, and then they call a few minutes later, or right when you're thinking about them, right? You are connected in a deeper way through this intuition. So we want to be taking some inventory. Where are we at right now? Because if we're going to pivot, we got to know where we're at and where we're starting from. And that does require us using the information, all available information at our disposal. We have our linear and logical side, which I'm going to remind you comes from our mental faculty of reason. Very important that we're not ignoring the intellectual part of ourselves, that reason is there for critical thinking and judgment. And while we're willing to listen and conditioned to listen to our logical linear thinking side, reason isn't the only thing. There are these inspired places, inspired insight, inspired by intuition, inspired by those that speak to us, and suddenly we have a new idea. So we want to listen to those places that are giving us life-giving ideas. And we want to use that. This is our non-linear intelligence, the intelligence that's bigger than ourselves. It's the intelligence that I like to share when I'm doing my coaching with people, when I'm teaching them more about listening to their intuition. I share the story of a woman who was looking for a way to generate an additional $1,000 that month for her child's tuition. And they were really struggling to come up with the money. And I taught her a brave thinking activation process, which I'm happy to teach you guys at some point. Or if you want to put a comment in down, I will reach out to you. We can have a one-on-one conversation about that. But there's a brave thinking activation process in which we can actually download. It's sort of like brainstorming on steroids. And we can download inspired action items that come from a place of intuition as much as and more than our reasoning linear side. So her list, she had a bunch, and one of the ideas was move the couch. Now that didn't make sense, and it doesn't make sense to most of us hearing that. So it's not fitting into our world paradigm from the linear side, right? So she did all the other things on the list, and then eventually, well, the only thing left was she kept hearing, move the couch, move the couch, move the couch. And finally, she moved the couch. And there, at the back, stuck between the couch and the wall, was a brand new, still in its cellophane wrapper, original Star Wars t-shirt. Which, I don't know about you, I'm a big Star Wars fan. So that would be awesome, right? And she had completely forgotten about it. Her son had received it for Christmas a few years ago, and it had gotten somehow stuck behind the couch where the vacuum couldn't reach it or whatever. And they couldn't find it when they cleaned up from Christmas that year. And then they had thought it had maybe gotten thrown away with the wrapping. But there it was. Her intuition had said, move the couch. And when she finally listened, she moved the couch, she found the t-shirt, and the t-shirt appraised at $750. So, where in your life have you been not listening to what step is calling? Intuition is calling you to take a step, and you may have been ignoring it. The hero's journey is answering the call. And then that embarks on a series of adventures, also known as the road of trials, so that you can get better. So it is going to have hardship. It is going to be difficult. But where are you not listening to the step that helps you know how to solve the adventure that you're in right now? So we're going to take inventory. Where are we at now? What ideas can we generate? And are we listening to intuition, or can we cultivate a relationship with intuition? That's the I in pivot. So that leads us to something very important. We want to have a very clear, crystal clear vision. Oops. If we are to pivot through this time or any other time in our life, it's important to know where we are. It's important to know our paradigms. It's important to shift our perception, listen to insight, and let's have a vision, a crystal clear, using our mental faculty of imagination, create a picture of ourselves on the other side of all of this. We don't even have to know when that other side is exactly, but let's just imagine in 3 years' time. I guarantee if you have had the privilege to breathe for 365 days times 3, in 3 years, we could get together on April 14th and we could say, what has changed in your life? Who are you now? What is going on? Imagine it. There will be a day beyond today. There will be a day beyond COVID-19. Are you going to be prepared for that day? Or are you going to just go through the motions until you get there and then you discover you're in the same pattern anyway? Let's have a vision. And I want to challenge us and inspire us and encourage us in this moment to not only have a vision for ourselves, but let's have a vision for this world. Let's have a vision for a global community that is humanity in all its shapes and forms, in all its walks of life. Humans coming together as a species to make this world a better place. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. This is our moment. It has arrived. We don't have to wait. Let's have a vision now of what it's going to look like. Are we really going to let the poor be hungry? Are we really going to let the uninsured continue without health insurance? Are we really going to let the F virus get us and not show kindness and care and compassion and live from a place of love? Are we really going to let borders separate us and language divide us and race be a thing? Are we really going to allow that to happen? Ladies and gentlemen, we have an opportunity here in this moment to create a vision that is bigger than ourselves. And you need something that's bigger than this moment, bigger than you to move you forward. What is your why? What is it that's going to keep you inspired and moving forward through these dark times, these uncertain times? What is your hero's journey? What is the dream that is seeking to express itself because you exist? You are a miracle on this planet. There are 7.7 billion miracles on this planet, and they can be multiplied. You have the power to multiply the miracle of your own existence. But you're not going to do that by default. You're not going to do that if you don't have a plan, a vision, which is much bigger than a plan. What is going to inspire you and move you forward? If we are going to pivot, if you are going to pivot personally in these times and succeed on the other side, you need to have a vision. And I say, this is our time as a species. Humanity, wake up. Wake up. We cannot continue to do the things that my lifetime I have seen. We have to have a vision of what it looks like. And I'll tell you what my vision is. My vision is a world filled with people who know their own worth and come from a place of love so that we create more love. And that love can look like businesses. It can look like families. It can look like relationships. It can look like how we're doing our government and governing. It can look like how we're treating other creatures on this planet and taking care of the environment. This one little blue-green marble that's floating around in space, where right now is the only place we know life exists. There may be other places, but they're so far away, ladies and gentlemen, we do not have a hope to get there yet. And so let's take care of life here. What is your vision? I believe each and every one of us is a leader. Right where you are right now, you are a leader. You can make a difference. You're either leading yourself, you're leading your family, you're leading your coworkers or your colleagues, you're leading organizations, you're leading in the community. You are leading. So we'll lead well and lead with vision. Let's make it crystal clear. Let's make it a picture that we can paint so that we can walk into it as if it was a memory from the future. You can do that. And that's something you can do now. You don't have to wait. We can do that while we're sitting here at home, right? So let's create a vision for the future, for ourselves, for our life. And I want to encourage you to remember to create one that is full spectrum. So in my world, when I'm working with people on this idea of a full spectrum vision, I want to say that that means we're covering all the angles. It's a rainbow of life that's being expected for us. So we want to include ourselves. We want to include our world. But let's also include others. What does our health look like? We're always thinking about health right now in the world with COVID-19. And the reason we're doing the 6-foot separation and the social distancing and the washing of our hands and the shutdown of our businesses and all of that is so that we can take care of each other and our health, right? So let's have a vision for our health. Let's have a vision for our relationships. We're dealing with relationships every day. How are they? Let's deal with them. And remember, the I in the is taking inventory. So where are you at in these relationships? And then let's have a vision for it. What about your vocation? What is your work in the world? What is it that going to do to make a difference? So to give your talents, your time, your energy, your impact, and it is unique to you. Your purpose is seeking to express itself right now. So let's do that. What does that look like, your vocation? And it may or may not be something you get paid to do, but it is how you're spending your time and talent. I would venture that being a mom, being a dad is one of the most impactful vocations there are. And it's not something we typically pay people to do. But yet you have a role and a job to perform. You need to lead in a way, right? In a way that matters. And then what is your freedom category? How are you spending your time and money? How free are you in your time and money? Are you spending them in a way that gives you life? Or is there contraction? Is there pain? Is there suffering? So again, we're going to look at the full spectrum. For myself and for the world, I want to look at health. I want to look at relationships. I want to look at vocation, and I want to look at my time and money freedom. Those are the four categories. I can never find the camera. So when I work with people, I help them really dive deep into getting into these areas and teasing out through evocative questioning. What is it that's really seeking to express itself? It's not my job to tell you. It's your job to find it, and I'm here to help, and I'm here to guide. So at the end of all this, I would love to give you something special, if that makes sense. So let's pivot powerfully with paradigm and perception shifting, with inventory and information, and using that. So let me back up. Paradigm and perception, inventory and inspired information with inspired ideas, right? Insight and vision, full spectrum. And then I want us to talk about this idea of a bit in vision or in pivot. We will not move forward if you don't believe that there is opportunity. So, what is the opportunity in front of you? Is it an opportunity to grow? Is it an opportunity to be a better leader, a leader of your family, a better mom, a better person, a better dad? I don't know what your opportunity is, but there is an abundance of opportunity in this moment. So if we really are going to pivot and we're going to use this time of crisis to turn the corner into something else, we have to look at what the opportunity is. And this goes back to your worldview. Do you feel like you live in a friendly universe, or do you feel like you live in a universe full of foes? If you are fighting and battling and creating resistance, you will have a hard time finding opportunity. If you can shift your perception into believing there is opportunity and there is good to be harvested, even if I don't see it yet, then allow me to stay open. Let me open up to opportunity that's in this moment. Allow me to see with new set of eyes what it is that this moment calls for, that I'm able to give, that I can grow into. And I will tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, opportunity never knocks when it's convenient, when it's easy, when there's plenty of time and plenty of money. Opportunity just exists, and we swim in it. And it's up to us to answer the call, but it is knocking. Do you hear it? Knock, knock, knock. Opportunity is knocking. You may have opportunity to start a business, to start a creative endeavor, to write the book you've always been imagining. Again, go back to vision. We have the opportunity to create something even while COVID-19 is happening, even in the middle of crisis. And we will only pivot when we begin to understand and see and believe that opportunity is here for us. And it's up to me to do something about it. If you're taking notes while we're doing this, I would really encourage you to write down what are some of the opportunities, or spend some time after this video. And I want you to know that me doing this with you is part of my opportunity. I have an opportunity through this marvelous technology to reach people all over the world with my experiences, my insights, my knowledge on who I'm being, which is my goal, my mission in life, my vision is to live in a way that who I am matters most. Who I am becoming matters. And I believe that about you too. My mission is to help people understand themselves, understand this world, even when it's ever changing, and understand their role in the world, because I believe we each can make a difference, a positive impact. And just to prove that point, that this opportunity does exist and it exists for you, I love that I have some comments here. And through my Facebook page, I am meeting people from around the world right here on this live stream. So put a comment down. Where are you from and how are you handling what's going on in your world right now in the COVID-19? Thank you for putting this down. And it's just nice to see you. Nice to greet you too in Baghdad, in England, in America, wherever you're tuning in from in the world. So again, if you're watching on replay, go ahead, put replay down there. I want to hear from you and I want to encourage you and interact together. So thank you for being here. You have an opportunity in front of you to show up and to show up more powerfully. So what is your opportunity? You may have multiple opportunities, and that's amazing when you can get to that place and see opportunity everywhere. But if we're going to pivot, if we're going to change, if we're going to go from just experiencing and having this kind of thing happen to us, and we're going to move into a new way of being that's more powerful, more empowered, more meaningful, and I believe more impactful, we got to pivot. And that includes seeing the opportunity that's in front of us. And that leads us to the T in this word pivot that we've been using for our lesson today. And I'll be honest, when I was thinking about this, I was having a little bit of a hard time. What should T stand for? So I ask you, what would T stand for in your mind if we were pivoting? I'm going to say that it stands for the tools that we're going to use in transformation. There are very specific, because remember, there is an art and a science to transformation. We get to be the painters, so there's an art in creating the vision, but then there's a science in how we apply ourselves. This isn't it's not completely random universe that we live in. There are universal forces at work. We stay on the earth because there's gravity. Nobody questions gravity anymore, but we're stuck on earth because there's gravity. And we don't see it. We don't see it at work, but it is at work and it keeps us in place. So there are forces that are unseen in your life that are keeping you in place. And if you want to move forward and you want to pivot and change and use this time of crisis to grow yourself, you have to be able to use specific tools of transformation, just like a rocket ship. We want to go to the moon. You know, President Kennedy said, what is it going to take to get a man to the moon and safely home again? And his leading scientist at the time, Werner von Braun, answered him, the will to do it. The will to do it. And I have lots of people calling me and emailing and asking me, Alicia Marie, how do I do this? How do I take the next step? There's so much bad in the world right now. There's so much stress. There's so much fear. There's so much frustration. There's so much just worry about what the future will hold. Alicia Marie, what do I do? And the first thing I tell them is to breathe. I say, you're normal. Welcome to the human race. We're all dealing with this together. And you are stronger than this. There are tools for transformation. When you have the will, which is one of our mental faculties, to do it, you will do what? Amazing things. You will do amazing things. If your vision and your why and your passion and purpose is big enough, bigger than you, bigger than your worry, bigger than your fear, you will do incredible, amazing things. It only happens if you put yourself in alliance with tools for transformation, with a vision that's powerful, and you're willing to tackle with inspired insight and intuition the inventory that is your life. You want to seek opportunity, and you want to bust the paradigms that are holding you back and shift your perception. That's it. That's the basic formula. Now, applying it on a day by moment basis, it can feel really tough. It can feel really hard. And I am not here to pretend that it's just going to be easy. But I am here to tell you that it is possible and that there are specific tools that help us, like the boosters, like the rocket fuel that launches the rocket ship, the spaceship, off of the Earth and fights against gravity that holds us in place and pushes us up into a whole new world, a whole new perception, a whole new perspective, right? All the way up into outer space and into the moon if we want. But you'll notice that there's a lot of energy and fuel, and there's a lot in the beginning to counteract and get that rocket ship off the ground. And that's the momentum that we need to build. And we have to have the tools to build ourselves up and build our momentum up so that we can move ourselves off this earth, so to speak. If we're the rocket ship, right, and our dream and our vision is the moon, let's get there, right? But we're going to do it one step at a time. We have to build the rocket ship. We have to know the science. We have to have the tools, but the fuel that we put in there is our why, and we have to know it's big enough. We're going to push against the gravity, the pull of the familiar that pulls us back, the old way of thinking, the old way of shutting out opportunity, the old way of coming from fear and frustration. We got to shut all that down. We're going to use that. That's the gravity holding us down. And we want to push against that in a way that's powerful and life-giving. And we go and we get liftoff. Houston, we have liftoff. Great. But notice that if we didn't have a second set of boosters, a second set of rockers about halfway up, that rocket ship would fall back to the ground. There's not enough energy. Once we get over the inertia and we get into the momentum, we can run out of steam. Hello, push and procrastinate model. We are back to falling down to earth. Crash. That can happen if we don't have another set of boosters that take us the rest of the way out of the field of gravity that's pulling us down, out of Earth's field and all the way up into orbit. And from there, it's a lot easier to get to the moon when we don't have so much friction and we don't have so much gravity pulling us in the wrong way. But it takes that extra set of boosters. So how do I build myself support structures in my life that enable me to have extra support when I'm about to fall down? We have to have people in our life that support us. And not everyone can support and hold us in a safe, secure place with our baby dream and our baby vision. We need to find partners in believing, and we need to have a structure of support that involves our vision, a mentor, and a structure of support. That's the triangle. You put yourself in the middle of this triangle, you will grow. You will get bigger. And the problems that you had yesterday will seem a lot smaller, and you'll have new, amazing problems to solve that will help take you forward and take this world forward together. So I am looking forward to continuing this conversation and bringing you more and more tools for transformation. This conversation every week, Tuesdays around 10 a.m. Eastern Time, is your tool for transformation. And you have a plethora of others available to you as well. But know that I will continue to bring you inspired insight, actionable ideas, and these little by little sprinkled in there tools for transformation. And I've already given you several today. We start with breathing and recentering ourselves and getting ourselves into our nervous system conditioned for rest and digest. We move from fear and we don't let the F virus get us because we know we're more than that. Tell yourself every day, I am more than that. Every day, in every way, I am getting better. But more importantly, I am better every day. So that could be a mantra that you can tell yourself when things seem tough. Every day, in every way, I am better and better. And you get to decide what the better and better is. Maybe you're focusing on part of your vision that is your relationships. Maybe it is how you're spending your time to grow yourself, to create a new endeavor, to find work in a virtual world, or to continue your job working from home in a virtual world. Maybe it's your vocation. Maybe it's just basic things like getting up, getting the dishes done, getting the family fed. I tell you what, I celebrate those wins every day because every day in every way, I'm getting better and better. I'm getting more organized. I'm getting more used to this new normal. We're a month in, ladies and gentlemen, here in Michigan, and I don't know where you are in the world. It may feel the same. I know Italy's a little farther ahead of us. China, obviously, a lot farther ahead of us. But this is new normal. Every day in every way, I'm getting better and better. I'm able to center myself, come from a place of kindness and compassion. I don't have to yell at my kids every day because they're on TV or tablet. What if it's okay? Hey, they're watching educational shows all the time, I'll tell you what. But we are in a new normal. So every day, that's a tool for transformation. We can tell ourselves something new in the face of circumstances that don't yet seem like to corroborate the new idea, right? We don't have to believe we're better and better every day. We just have to start by telling ourselves that. And over time, we will start to believe it. So what's another tool for transformation? Well, we're going to talk a lot about these in the coming weeks and days, but I'm here for you. I am supporting you. And I want to encourage you to reach out to me because there may be something you need in the moment. I have my email address. Let me find it here. Oh, yes, that reminds me while I'm looking for that. One of the tools for transformation that I've talked about is gratitude and how that puts us on a frequency that is most harmonious with abundance and with the good that is seeking us right now. So breathe. What am I grateful for today? How can I have some trust, right? We talked about that and reviewed that today. How can I use this idea of pivot so I can change myself, change the circumstances, change what's going to happen on the other side? It's time to let this move us in a new direction. I have lots of content I often share using the hashtag Taming the Chaos and Eye of the Storm. So look for stuff there because this is what I do. I help you tame the chaos of your own life so you can be the eye of the storm, so that we can deliver our very, very best in this world. Here we go. Email me. You are not alone. And I invite you to contact me with questions. And I would be happy to develop content based on what I know and do so that you can use it too, right? So either leave a comment here, or if you're watching on the replay or in the archives on YouTube, just go ahead and leave a comment. Send me an email. Let's connect. Let's not pretend like we're not in this together because we absolutely are. And let's remember that what's going on right now, whatever the content is of your life, it is the curriculum. It's the school of life that is teaching you to be a better person. It's your evolution if you choose to accept it. If you choose to answer the call of the hero's journey and go into the unknown, there is something for you to grow, evolve, and become. I am not who I was a week ago. I am not who I was 10 years ago. Thank God. I am not who I was 20 years ago. And wouldn't it be great if we could do it intentionally and not just happenstance and the slow way when it happens by accident? What if we could do it on a fast pace, accelerated growth curve, exponential growth curve? We've seen what exponential looks like with COVID-19. What if that could be us, individually and as a collective, to become more than even we can imagine right now? I believe that's possible. So, because it's so important to take action, but to do it in the right way, not come from the push and procrastinate model, I want to encourage you to download this free item. 100% free, just like these conversations are 100% free. Go to my bit.ly link there for Leap into Action 2020. I think the capital letters matter. So go there and download that, because it has a whole bunch of ideas, 20 ideas that can be tools for your transformation. And I wrote this at the beginning of the year, thinking about leap year and how this was a year to change and transform. Little did I know we would be in a place of forced transformation. I don't remember exactly where I saw that, but I thought it was brilliant. Somebody wrote a blog and they were saying how we're in a period of forced transformation. We don't like it. We don't have to like it, but it's here. And it is going to transform things. So let's do it in a way that we have some control. This is part of your pivot plan. Download this and walk through the 20 ideas. Some of them are journaling activities. Some of them are things that you can do in your real world with other people. And let me know how it goes. How can you leap into action today in a way that helps you pivot forward so that we're moving in a direction of our vision and a vision for ourselves and a better world? Yes? I will put this in the comments, in the description, so that you can know to just click there. And join us every Tuesday, because this is part of your transformation together. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. How do we pivot in times of crisis? Let's not let the F virus get us. Let's use love, care, and compassion to become better people. Let's dump the push and procrastinate model that I was using in my life, the fear-based adrenaline. Let's do stuff because it's got to get done. Do more in order to solve problems. Yeah, let's do some stuff, but let's do it from an inspired place of insight and intuition, right? So let's identify the paradigms we're living with. Let's shift our perceptions. Let's realize that we have control. Let's see what's holding us back and we start to rewrite that program. Let's take inventory. Let's take stock. Where are we at right now? How are we using the information at our availability? Do we use good, credible information, or are we going on a spin cycle? How do we develop intuition and get inspired insights so that we're coming from a place where we have life-giving ideas to act on? And are they aligned with our vision? Do we have a vision? Design a vision so that we have a life that is full spectrum and a life for ourselves and our planet and others. A bigger vision of the world, not just ourselves. We can do both. And when we have a vision, that's our North Star. We know where we're traveling to now. And we can start to look for opportunity in a whole new way. If we want to pivot, we have to look for opportunity and know that there is opportunity here. Be open to opportunity. So let's just say that. There's open to opportunity. Oops. This is the beauty of doing it live, ladies and gentlemen. So be open to opportunity. Look for the good. Look for the opportunity. What is seeking right now? What's the step you can take? Use the tools for transformation and continue to tune in so that we can make a difference. So we've been going a long time here today. I really appreciate you being here for whatever period of time you did join us. I really want you to remember you have the power to get better every day in some way. So use this time to pivot and know that there are great things coming. I'm here for you, and I wish you the very, very best. And with that, I think I would like to end something a little different today with a reminder. Let's end with a reminder of exactly what it is we are doing in this time. I'm going to replay this idea here that we can be a hero no matter what is going on. And we're going to end today on a very good note. Thank you for being here. Tune in to next week at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And we will continue the conversation with more tools for transformation where we left off. How cool would that be? Okay. And enjoy. Here we go.